Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Breakthrough to Best Self with Holly and Lauren-Aaliyah. Today is going to be an interesting conversation because we are going to talk about New Year's resolutions. I don't know how you guys feel about New Year's resolutions, but I do have some pretty strong feelings regarding the topic. But I'm going to start out with my colleague, Lauren. Lauren, what are your thoughts on New Year's resolutions?
Hey guys, I'm out in Durban, South Africa. For those who haven't seen our podcast before, good to be here. And an awesome topic, New Year's resolutions. I think by the time you'll watch this, we will probably be just before, if not just after 2025 rolls around, depending when this one is. My my views on New Year's resolutions have changed over the years. So I was one of those people who boldly set New Year's resolutions every year. I'd have my list of, and it was never one thing. It was always like two or three things that I was going to accomplish. All the usual suspects, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. I don't. If some years it was like I'm going to get a new job. Just all the usual things. My my whole approach to New Year has changed. I don't know if I set resolutions in the, maybe some people will call these resolutions. I like to say I don't set New Year's resolutions. I don't, I don't set them, and I'm constantly working on myself, and I kind of set resolutions all the time through the year.
Mm.
But I don't know that that's absolutely true. As I was thinking about it, just kind of preparing for our chat today, I was thinking, what is it that I do at the beginning of the year? Or even at this time, like, with the year rolling to an end, I guess I do look ahead at the new year, just in a different way. I don't have a checklist of here's what I have to do, like, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to go to the gym and the rest of it. But I definitely do have broad expectations of the year,
Nice.
not of myself. And that's the difference.
Mm.
In the past, I would set these resolutions and they'd become the stick I beat myself with because,
Yes.
2 months in, I haven't gone to the gym. I haven't changed the diet. I haven't lost the weight. I don't have the new job. I failed. This year sucks, right? That's kind of where it
Yeah.
ends up. And now I don't have, this is not a stick I beat myself with. I don't have expectations of myself that I have to do this and I should do that and I've got to do that. I do have expectations of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I have expectations of what 2025 will bring for me. And, a few videos back, few episodes back, we did a podcast on manifesting, and we subsequently did a masterclass on manifesting our future. And so I think with all of that sort of science and understanding in mind of how we can put our expectations out and allow them to meet us, that is how I approach the year.
Mm.
So that's kind of how I'm going into 2025 with some expectations of things that I will be able to manifest. How's that? What do you think, Halls? What
Ooh.
is your view on New Year's resolutions? You got a couple?
Well, I love this. I love that you're like New Year's manifesting instead of resolutions. I might even start calling them that. But yeah, you were talking about the stick that you would beat yourself up with, and I was actually thinking the same language that I would, the beginning of every year, I would say how I was going to lose weight, how I was going to get healthy, all these things I was going to do. And I'd give myself, a week, 2 weeks, and it hadn't happened yet. So bam, bam, I'm terrible. I am just terrible. And, might as well give up. Might as well just give up for the whole year and just go back to what I was doing the year before. And I will say that I had an experience which brought me to my self discovery, holistic wellness journey. And it did include a New Year's resolution, but it was
Okay.
one that I kept. And I don't know how I was able to keep this one resolution and everything else I never. I will say that I had gotten to a what I call a rock bottom place with my food,
Okay.
sliding out of control through the a 3.5 year period. And at the end of the year, right around this time, about 6 years ago, I said, no more. I feel like I have some sort of addiction and I want to feel better. All I could think of at the time was I'm addicted to sugar because that's how it was showing up. But even with the pain and suffering that that caused me, I wasn't able to start the journey until January 6th. Couldn't do it on the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, or the 5th. But I did it. I did it. For me, it was a completely novel approach where I didn't beat myself up anymore. And I started to have compassion. I started to have understanding for myself and the experiences that I had. And I started to look out and find help. All these other attempts at a New Year's resolution, I got this. I don't need anybody's help. I can do this by myself. Well, 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 that didn't end up so well. So,
What
yes,
shifted,
I
honey?
don't.
What shifted? I have to interrupt you. What do you think shifted at that point that made this, what made it different? Because I think for anybody watching this episode, you may be on either side of setting a New Year's resolution. You're either, thinking about what it is you're going to be setting for yourself, or you're on the other side of it. You've set one, you're on your way to it. Or maybe you also have had the experience that, you know what, I just don't set resolutions anymore. So I'm eager to hear, what do we think what works? What worked for you that year that made you follow through? You said, I don't know why this one thing I did, but just think about it for a moment. What was different that made you get out and not do it on your own? Or what was the change?
Okay, so my entire life, from let's say, well, my entire adult life, we'll start with that. I was overweight and or obese. Every year, I would say, I want to diet. I want to go on a diet and lose weight. This time, I said, I think that I might be experiencing something that's similar to an addiction. And I need to figure out what that means, why, what that is. And so instead of it being all centered around dieting and losing weight, it was a dive into myself of self-discovery to find out what's underneath that. What is
Mm,
actually going on underneath this that is causing the situation instead of, Holly, you should lose weight. And here comes the should police. We joke in our community that we should all over ourselves. I had to say that very gently and very should all over ourselves because you know what? When I start, I should, I'm not good enough, I give up. But
mm.
now it's more of a, what do I need? What's going on underneath? How can I find the resources and the help to work through this? And so it was a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah. So this is there a place though, without dismissing New Year's resolutions, and maybe it doesn't have to be New Year, but is there benefit of drawing a line in the sand and going, okay, from this date onwards, I'm going to make this shift. I'm going to make a change. I I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think that it is all lost if you are somebody who needs a deadline and sets a deadline. I think it can be a good thing. I think it can be a good thing where, you our brain loves a
Truth.
plan. And often when we have a plan, um, it's helpful to know that there's timing. With my life coaching work, we do SMART goals. And of course, that T, for anyone who has set SMART goals, talks about a time bound, or at least a timeline or time bound expectation. So I don't have anything against having a timeline and saying, here's the point at which I begin. Um, so I'm not against resolutions from that perspective. And I think sometimes it can be helpful. I do think that the part that I've let go of, as I said, was it becomes unrealistic, where I set numbers around, weight
Yes.
loss, or I'm saying I'm going to do the gym in this way and that many times a day. And so it's time bound, but it's not realistic, which is the R of the SMART goals, right? So it's not realistic based on maybe the time I have available, other responsibilities. I had a young kid at school for several years. There's just so many different things. I was really invested in building a career all through my 30s.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of things that interrupted how realistic some of the resolutions that I set really were. So I think that's the first thing, is that there may be benefit to having a resolution, a decision that you're making to shift or change your life. But let it be a really smart, realistic um, expectation of ourselves, so that it doesn't become the stick that we beat ourselves with. And I'm intrigued by your explanation of what was different for you that year, that you finally made it change it. You said, I went within, I went what's under it. So I think that speaks to sometimes how superficial these resolutions can be. They're superficial, I'll do this thing and I'll do that thing and I'll do that thing. But why? What does this mean for me? What do I really want? And I think when I talk about expectations of the year ahead, that's what they sound like to me now.
Yeah.
I'm looking deeper at what do I expect of this year ahead. Um,
Mhm.
what are the outcomes that I want that are deeper than numbers on a scale, or how much money I'm going to save, or money I'm going to make? Um, they're a lot deeper, and they have a lot more to do with me holistically than they ever were. Do you think that matters, Holly, on how when we look at how do we feel, and how do we attach all of ourselves to an expectation versus a superficial goal of a
Yeah.
number that I'll just tick? Do you think that matters in how successful we're going to be?
I think it's probably one of the top reasons why we can be successful when we approach it in a way that supports us, supports our mental, our physical, our emotional, and even our spiritual growth. Because when I say, and I've done this, when I get to a certain weight, I'll be happy. Then I have lost all the weight. I have lost a ton of weight, gotten to that number, and felt cheated almost. Like, wait a minute, I am at this weight. Why am I not happy now? That
Right,
was the promise. And it's like, well, actually, it's a one day, for me, it's a one day at a time scenario. So that I know you were talking about goals, and I think some people thrive on saying, this is my starting point and this is where I'm headed. And I like that. But for myself, if I start to think about, well, I've got to do this for the rest of my life or for the next 6 months or for the next 10 years, part of that can also bring me stress. So for me, one of the approaches that has been quite helpful is to number one is to think about how my health and my overall wellness, my holistic wellness, all of me will benefit from whatever action it is that I'm taking, and then breaking it down into the smallest possible step. Um, I'm going to go for a walk today. I am going to have just this next meal is going to be clean. This next meal, I'm going to do a little food prep, or I'm going to work on my the emotional side. And all of these pieces, all of these steps will get us where we're going. But if I think I've got to jump from here 20 feet, I'm probably going to quit. I'm probably going to give up. And if I remember my why, which it's so much deeper than fitting into a certain clothing or having a certain number on a scale. It's so much deeper than that. I want to thrive in my next chapter of my life. I want to grow and learn and experience things that I've already experienced and I love, or that I've never experienced before.
Mhm.
This opens us up to so much more. What about you, Lauren? What does it mean for you to look under the surface instead of these, weight loss for so that I look fly. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But what else? What's deeper for you, Lauren?
Yeah. So, that is where I get to what are my expectations of the year ahead. Um, so now I don't talk about I want to lose weight. I talk about I want to be confident and comfortable in my body. Like
Mm,
I want to feel confident and comfortable in my body. Because and so that's not about body image from the outside, but
yes.
it's about body acceptance from the inside. I want to be confident and comfortable for me from the inside. And so that talks to, well, how will I get there? What would I need to do for that to happen?
Mm,
So that becomes the series of actions that I can take in order to be confident and comfortable in my body. For me to be confident and comfortable in my body, I need to eat right. I need to
mhm.
move. I need to sleep. There's a lot of things that go with being confident and comfortable in my body. But if I'm not confident, then I'm noticing what are my thoughts around that? Like what's happening? What negative self-limiting belief do I have that's making me not confident in my body? So then I would deal with that. But so the goal, if you like, is a much bigger one than I'm going to lose 10 kgs. Or 20 pounds if we were in the USA. Rather than having, I've got to lose X amount of weight or get into a specific size, I'm talking about what it is I want to feel deep within me.
Yes.
I want to accept my body. I want to love my body. I want to be confident and I want to be comfortable. Now, if that's what I want, there's certain actions that I would need to take. And so these actions are all driving me towards what I want. If I think about myself in terms of work and those kind of goals, so in the past, it's like, okay, I have to get a new job, or I have to get a job that pays me this amount of money. Or I have to do this certain training, all these things that would be superficial. They right, the actions that I would need to take on top. But what is it that I wanted
Right.
from all of that? So I want to do, so now my expectations is that I'll be doing fulfilling work that I'm passionate about, that truly fulfills me, that makes me content, that is within the realm of what I believe my purpose is. Now, if that's my expectation of the year, then there's a bunch of actions I can take there as well. So that leads to a totally different set of actions. So rather than having this action checklist that I beat myself with, I've got a
Yes.
really broad goal, which is I want to do fulfilling, meaningful work that fulfills me, that adds value to other people, that I'm passionate about, and it's in line with my purpose. If that is the goal, if that is what my expectation is of the year ahead, and I'm expecting that that's how the year is going to unfold, and I am manifesting that, and I wake up believing that that
Yes.
is what the year will bring for me, then I start to move in that direction. I start to look around and go, what is not aligned? What is not aligned to this purpose and this expectation of the year? And are there some actions I need to take? And that may well move me into getting a new job or getting a new certification or applying for. So it may still have the same actions that I took 5 years ago, but my intention and my purpose for moving in that direction are very different. They're not no longer this checklist.
I want to add
Mm.
something, Lauren, that I noticed as you were describing this. I noticed the difference in your tone and the difference in your body language as you were describing what it was like to look at it in the old way and what it was like to look at it in this new way. And everything about you just, there was a calmness that came over you. And I thought, if I'm calm, I'm much more likely to be able to do these things than if I'm
Yeah,
stressed. And you and I, we know what a stressed brain can produce.
yeah.
One of the things a stressed brain can produce is cravings, which
Cravings.
is the opposite. Like if we're talking about I would like to work on my body and we're stressed about it, then we're going to receive cravings. It's going to make it much more difficult for us to even achieve these types of things. So,
Yeah,
yeah, Lauren.
that calmness is important. And I think it's a sign that the approach that you're taking towards achieving, what I'm calling my expectations of the year, um, that I'm on the right path, because there is a level of calmness going into it. The other thing that exists is clarity. I want to talk about
Mm.
clarity. So calmness is, the 1C that guy puts us on the path of getting our expectations from the year, to just know that you're really calm. And I think when we go deeper and we have a broader expectation of the year, and it's attached to what we feel about it rather than what others think of it, then it is calm. But clarity is important. So clarity is something that may take a little bit more time to sit with. It's about sitting with your expectations of the year, so that you can get really deep into understanding why it is you want what you want in the year ahead. And for me, that's important, to get really clear on my expectations. In the past, I would rattle off a bunch of things that everybody else well, that's kind of what you do with New Year's resolutions. Or, as I say, it was a very superficial exercise, both in terms of what I was expecting, but also in how I came up with them. They were very arbitrary, kind of, this is what I think I'll, get from the year. Whereas now there's a lot of introspection to
Mm.
get really clear, on what it is that I'm expecting in this next chapter. And of course, we can do this at any time, right? We
I
don't
was
have
just
to
thinking the
wait for
same thing.
January.
Yeah.
You don't have to meet. I mean, we just happen to be having this conversation, hanging it on this concept of New Year's resolutions. But what I'm talking about is something that is available all year round. But
Yes.
given that this is the time of year, and that's okay. Let's say you have decided that January is going to be a shift, kind of step change in your life. That's okay. It still requires us to get really still, really clear on our expectations. So clarity and calmness. And then you mentioned that other C that we don't want, which is cravings. But I honestly believe that clarity and calmness, um, will be, there won't be the cravings. And whether that's cravings for food for the person on the weight loss journey, or whether it's cravings for all the things that take you away from this purpose that you've set for yourself, they distractions, they are triggers. I think being calm, and being really clear are ways that we can stop those distractions from happening and taking us off the path that we've set for ourselves.
Absolutely. I want to throw one thing out there about being really clear. you and I had an instance where we were speaking with someone and they were talking about something that they wanted to bring into their lives, some meaningful relationships. And they were very clear, very detailed on that. And lo and behold, they were able to bring that into their lives. So when you said clarity, I thought, yes, and you can, it's okay to spell it out, to
Yeah.
get really, really focused on what that looks like. And we've done that again in the manifesting video and the manifesting masterclass, which is back in some of our former episodes. We'll tie it in with this one, you guys, so you can take a look at that. But yeah, we have the true power. We have the power to make change, really lasting change in our lives. And I think, it's for me, it was a matter of framing that in a way that was achievable. You talk about goals, and I think that that is wonderful for people who shy away from the word goals because maybe they've beaten themselves up with that word. It's changes in our lives that are very much doable, very achievable, and we can take all the time that we need and take it one step at a time to get there. And that to me is
Yeah.
exciting news. I'm not a failure. I just didn't, I was going about it a way that wasn't working for me. And
Hmm.
now there's other ways that we can do
That's
this.
right. Yeah. And, for those, again, that are setting goals and for whom goals work, it comes back to SMART goals, back to the good old life coaching SMART goals. Clarity, getting clear, getting focused is the specific. It's the S of the SMART goals. It's really specific. So the clarity gives you your specific. Um, the M in the SMART goals is measurable. So how will you know you've achieved it? And I think that's important when you get really clear on your
Mm,
goals. When you have a checklist and the checklist is, oh, I would have achieved it when I lost 20 kgs. Well, if that's your only measure, then if you managed to lose 18 kgs, did you win or lose? Did you fail? Did you get it? Like, did you get the goal?
mm,
So the thing with being measurable is being really clear, back to clarity on how you will measure. What does success look like for you? And so for me, meaningful work, work that makes me happy and content, work that fulfills me, doesn't depend on me getting a new job. I can find ways to be
right.
fulfilled in what I'm doing now. So the measure is my sense of fulfillment rather than did I get the new job? Yes, no, because that just leaves no room for you to work on anything. There's no room for progress. It's yes, no. So how you'll measure that goal is what we need to get really clear on when we are setting expectations of the year. And then you mentioned a word just now, achievable. Well, that's the A in the SMART goal, right? So it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable. And that means that we're doing it in a way that makes sense for us. It's no use me setting a goal of I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week at 7 o'clock in the morning. If at 7 o'clock in the morning I'm supposed to be somewhere else, that's just never going to be achieved, right? So it's
Yep.
got to be really achievable. And then the R, it's got to be realistic. Again, it's going to be achievable. It's going to be realistic to you and your situation. And then it's going to be time bound or have a timeline or timing. And again, that not to be a stick that we beat ourselves with. Um, that timing, I think in a previous episode, we spoke about pacing in some ways, or we've certainly touched on pacing. Timing is important. And when we box ourselves in that says, I'm going to lose 20 kgs by the 31st of March. And again, I'm going to say, if you only lost 15 on the 31st of March, have you failed? Is that like you didn't, like you done? Do you give up on the year? So just to be really clear and careful on how we set timing and time bound, and rather than setting an end date or
Yes.
deadline, maybe the timing part of it is that I will work on this for, 5 minutes a day, or I will set an hour aside once a week, or whatever that is. It's so realistic, but the time is also quite specific. So I think there is room for smart goal setting people. to be smart about how this doesn't become a stick we beat ourselves up with. And for those of us that are not locked into goals, then we can also have a very similar framework of clarity and calm and going deeper. And so I think it can appeal to different, different sensibilities. And again, any time of the year. Okay, just to be clear,
Yes.
we can do this any time of the
Yes.
year. Yeah. But yeah, interesting. Good topic. As always, Holly, lovely to chat about these different things that we face as we explore growth and self-development and wellness and all the things that bring us to the best versions of ourselves. And that's what this podcast is all about. We'd love to hear from you, your thoughts going into 2025. What are your thoughts on New Year's resolutions or goals or expectations or manifesting, whatever you hold? We'd love to hear from you and some ideas of what it is you are looking forward to in the year ahead. If you like this video and this content, please do engage with it so that we can spread this message to more people, and do subscribe to the channel as well. Holly, some closing words from you before we go?
Yeah, just thank you, everyone who is in our audience. Maybe you're stumbling upon this podcast for the first time, or maybe you're already subscribed and you watch these videos. We want to wish you a happy, merry, whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate. We want to wish you a wonderful end of the year and beginning of the next year. And we hope that you will continue to join Lauren and I on this journey. We have such wonderful things coming in the new year to bring to you guys. So please check out our channel where it's our description is always rotating with the latest. We have free master classes that we offer. We have lots of things. We have a Facebook community now. So please take a look at the description of this channel and join us on some of our other locations out there in the world. But thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for supporting us, and we appreciate you. And we'll see you soon. Bye,
Thanks, guys.
everybody.